Wow, guys, the Lord really delivered this morning. I'm freshly teary-eyed from my devotional and didn't think I'd make it around 9:30 today. I thought I was going to do it later, but it was so good. This is unrehearsed and unscripted. But I want to share with you what Saul's thigh tender meal in the book of First Samuel has to do with our commitment to seeking the Lord in prayer today for big decisions. So if that's you, stick around, get out your Bible, your digital Bible, or just listen in. I want to tell you the story of when Saul was chosen to be king. Now, I mentioned Saul kind of in a dirty way yesterday, talking about how he was one of David's enemies when we were looking at that psalm. But in the early part of Saul's life and his kingship, he was a godly man. He was following after God. He had a humble heart and a way of seeking God that is to be remembered well. Um, so in First Samuel chapter 9, we're introduced to this guy named Saul. He's the son of a man named Kish, and we're introduced to him as kind of like this gorgeous man who's a dutiful son. Kish has lost his donkeys and asks Saul to grab a servant, his favorite buddy probably, and go looking for them. Now, they search high and low, and they're going all over. I have no idea how long they're searching. We don't know that from the Bible. But um, in verse 5, Saul speaks up. He says, "When they had come to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant who was with him, 'Come, let us return, lest my father cease caring about the donkeys and become worried about us.'" That's a nice sonly thing to do and think. And he said to him, "Look, there is in this city a man of God, and he is an honorable man. All that he says surely comes to pass. So let us go there, perhaps. He can show us the way that we should go." So this guy who knows of the prophet suggests it. Saul goes along with it. They're wondering what gift they should bring. And they go and inquire. They look around. People tell them, "Hey, there's going to be a sacrifice. You can go find him at thus and such location." And they head on up. So as they were coming into the city, there was Samuel the prophet, the guy they were looking for, coming out. And so they asked him, "Hey, have you seen the prophet?" And the story picks up in verse 15. Now the Lord had told Samuel in his ear the day before Saul came, saying, "Tomorrow about this time I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin, and you shall anoint him commander over my people Israel, that he may save my people from the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people because their cry has come to me." So God has been acting on Saul's behalf to arrange this, and he's been acting on the behalf of the people. Excuse me. So it goes down just like that. They go and they eat. And the part that stuck out to me and made me so excited. I've read this story before, guys, but it was so cool today. They sit down to eat, and this detail, it just gets my heart. I'll pick up reading in verses 22 at 22. Now Samuel took Saul and his servant and brought them into the hall and had them sit in a place of honor among those who were invited. There were about 30 persons. And Samuel said to the cook, "Bring the portion which I gave you, of which I said to you, set it apart." So the cook took up the thigh with its upper part and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, "Here it is. What was kept back, it was set apart for you. Eat, for until this time it has been kept for you, since I said I invited the people." So Saul ate with Samuel that day. Well, it ends up, of course, the end of the story is that Saul becomes anointed king in the next chapter, but none of that really pertains to us in our journey and our struggle today. But these words, I hope, pricked your heart already. You already know where I'm going with this. Wow, this story hit me today because of a couple reasons. First of all, Saul and his traveling companion are looking, and even though it's condensed into a couple short verses in the Bible, you don't pass through mountains in a certain land and then another land and then another land, like, in a short amount of time. This is not a neighborhood journey. So, I'm thinking this is a season, you know, a month, a month at least. And, yeah, I think they're gone several weeks. So, what I'm saying to you is what this spoke to my heart is like, "Hey, look, you're on a journey, but what happens is that maybe this is being used to get you to another place that you need to be." It ends up that the donkeys were fine, right? They had already been found. I don't think very much of this was about the donkeys, but God used the donkeys and their loss to get Saul to where he needed to be. And then another thing that sticks out to me is that you and I probably aren't prophets. And hopefully we're godly people. Like that's what we're striving to be, right? But there may be somebody that God is lining up that he has whispered in their ear about what's going on with us. Verse 15 said the Lord had told Samuel in his ear the day before Saul came. So at this time, like I said yesterday, let's be talking to our godly counsel. There could be someone whose path we crossed that God has indicated to them, maybe not even in this full of a way, but God has indicated to them something about us, our character, and our calling. So have your ears perked up in this season to see if God is using someone else, some other godly minister or friend to point us to our next direction. And then lastly, of course, the part that is the most awesome is that Samuel, knowing and trusting that Saul was coming this way, that God was moving and doing something, had set apart his portion for him beforehand. I don't know what Saul had been eating on this journey, probably not very well. This would have been a beautiful sense of hospitality, of welcome and nourishment after his weeks of wandering. And it had been set apart for him the whole time. When he was out there dreaming of cheeseburgers and thinking, wouldn't it be nice to get back home? They're cooking over their little cooking fires, trying to hustle up a hospitable meal from fellow Israelites. Like maybe they just wanted to be home. And so the real physical need was met, the emotional need was met, and this portion had been reserved for him the whole time. Above and beyond that, my friends, of course, this applies to us. God has reserved our portion. There's something that He has for us in life set aside that we've been yearning for, longing for, thinking about, maybe not even knowing what it was going to look like, but He's going to deliver it. And then, even bigger than that, the meta thing, the thing to really focus on is that God Himself, elsewhere in the Bible, promises to be our portion, not just provide for us, but to provide for us eternally in every sense of the way, where just being with Him, knowing Him, and having Him in our lives starts to become enough as we dwell on His goodness. So today, there's a song. This is for you, Mia, and also reminding me of my good friend Juanita, who loves David Crowder. We sang together in Conway SDA about Oh How He Loves. And David Crowder gets together with Dante Bowe and a couple other my favorites for this song. It's called God Really Loves Us. The lyrics are this: I've got a friend closer than a brother. There is no judgment. Oh, how he loves me. I've got a friend and he is my strength. He is my portion, with me in the valley, with me in the fire, with me in the storm. All right, my friends. Well, we're almost through this week. I'm praying, continuing to pray for you, especially those of you who are messaging me. Pray for my clarity, pray for my decision making, pray for mine as well. Thank you so much for being with me along this journey. And I'll see you for the last time tomorrow. And yeah, let's just pray and jam out to this song. I love you. I'm wishing you joy and peace for your journey. I'll see you back tomorrow.